Let's implement assessment, differentiation, integration, and intervention in mathematics seamlessly. Plan the first lesson to include assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. Pre-assessment. Step 1. Select a concept at grade level. Step 2. Identify prior levels with a logical basis. Step 3. Plan to pre-assess the prior levels. Implement the first lesson, embedding assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Step 4. Implement the pre-assessment either informally by placing the prior levels on the board or formally using a pre-made pre-assessment, with the children selecting the level that allows them to demonstrate their highest understanding. Step 5. During the pre-assessment, roam, observe, question, and prompt. While roaming, guide children between levels. Up if they have demonstrated understanding of a level, down if they are engaged in non-productive struggle at their selected level. Evaluate the first lesson, embedding assessment for learning and assessment of learning. Step 6. Collect the children's pre-assessments in groups of the level that they attempted. Step 7. Place them in the levels that you identify that each child will be ready to investigate in the subsequent lesson. Plan the subsequent lesson, embedding assessment for learning. Differentiation. Step 8. Select 3 levels to include in the explicit teaching, making sure that the lowest level of understanding is included. Integration. Step 9. Some children may have demonstrated understanding of one level but were completely unable to demonstrate any understanding of the next level. These children may need to investigate a related concept before returning to investigate the next level of the concept. Select the related concept to integrate. Continuing to plan the subsequent lesson. Intervention. Step 10. Some children may have demonstrated no understanding of the concept. These children may need to investigate an intervention. Select the interventions. Children investigating an intervention will engage in the explicit teaching. Implement the explicit teaching in the subsequent lesson, embedding assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Differentiation. Step 11. Begin to explicitly teach the selected 3 levels, starting at the lowest level. Collaboratively create an anchor chart for each level by asking questions and having children ask and answer the questions with a partner. Stop the explicit teaching either after the 3 levels or when few children are still answering questions. Continue to implement the explicit teaching in the subsequent lesson. Integration. Step 12. The related concepts selected for integration may be included in the explicit teaching and slotted into the sequence of anchor charts. If this is not appropriate because the integration is not relevant to any other child, the integration can be implemented by the child during investigation. Implement the investigation in the subsequent lesson, embedding assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. Differentiation. Step 13. Allow children to select the level that they are ready to investigate. Initially guide them by standing behind each child and asking them which level they think they are ready to investigate. If you agree, allow them to start. If you disagree, guide them down, saying, "Today I'd like you to investigate this level, and then you'll be ready to investigate this level." Or up, saying, "Okay, investigate this level, and then you'll be ready to investigate this level." Continuing to implement the investigation in the subsequent lesson. Integration and intervention. Step 14. For children investigating an integration or an intervention, you may choose to provide them with an integration investigation sheet or an intervention investigation sheet. Step 15. During the investigation, roam, observe, question and prompt. While roaming, guide children between levels, up if they have demonstrated understanding of a level, and down if they are engaged in non-productive struggle at their selected level. Continuing to implement the investigation in the subsequent lesson. Step 16. For children who are not yet able to investigate independently because they are used to having an adult with them, part of their learning is going to be focused on developing their capacity to investigate independently. As you roam, if a child is not investigating, pause, give them their first instruction, which may even just be open your book or may actually be the first step in their investigation, and then walk away. Don't remain with the child as they follow or don't follow the instruction. Remaining reinforces the mindset that they only learn with an adult. Continue to roam, guide, observe, question and prompt every child before returning to the children who are not yet able to investigate independently, either repeating the initial instruction or referring to the anchor chart or the integration investigation sheet or the intervention investigation sheet, giving the next instruction, and then walking away. Evaluate the subsequent lesson, embedding assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. Step 17. Collect the children's books in groups of the level that they investigated. Step 18. Place them in the levels that you identify that each child will be ready to investigate in the subsequent lesson. Repeat steps 8 to 18 for every subsequent lesson. Post-assessment, embedding assessment of learning, as well as assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Step 19. Plan to post-assess to include the prior levels and the levels included in the explicit teaching and investigation. Step 20. Implement the post-assessment, either informally by placing the levels on the board or formally using a pre-made post-assessment, with the children selecting the level that allows them to demonstrate their highest understanding.